The phrase war in Iran evokes images of a conventional full-scale military invasion, yet such a simplistic depiction belies the far more intricate and perilous reality. The conflict surrounding the Islamic Republic is not a future possibility but an ongoing reality, a multi-layered, low-intensity and undeclared war fought across a spectrum of domains. It is a shadow war waged in cyberspace and through covert operations, a series of brutal proxy conflicts that have set the Middle East ablaze, a relentless economic siege, and a constant simmering risk of escalation into a catastrophic regional confrontation. To comprehend this complex geopolitical chessboard, one must dissect its foundational pillars: the nuclear question, Iran's regional hegemonic ambitions, its internal socio-political fragilities, and the intricate motivations of the key players involved. At the heart of every international concern lies Iran's nuclear program. This single issue has been the primary driver of decades of tension, sanctions, and threats. Tehran has consistently maintained that its nuclear activities, from the heavily fortified underground enrichment facility at Fordow to the sprawling complex at Natanz, are for peaceful purposes, such as energy generation and medical isotopes. However, a history of clandestine activities, a lack of transparency with the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, and the pursuit of uranium enrichment to levels approaching weapons grade, 90%, have fueled deep-seated suspicion. For the West, particularly the United States and Israel, the prospect of a nuclear-armed Iran is an existential red line. It would fundamentally shatter the regional balance of power, directly threaten Israel's existence, and trigger a dangerous nuclear arms race across the Middle East, with nations like Saudi Arabia and Turkey likely pursuing their own atomic capabilities. The Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA, signed in 2015, was a landmark diplomatic effort to verifiably curtail Iran's program in exchange for sanctions relief. However, the unilateral withdrawal of the United States in 2018 under the Trump administration effectively rendered the deal moribund. In response, Iran methodically cast off its own commitments, accelerating its enrichment activities and reducing the breakout time needed to produce enough fissile material for a nuclear weapon to a matter of weeks. This has placed the international community back on a high-stakes collision course, where the options of diplomacy and military action are once again in stark and dangerous contention. The second pillar of the conflict is Iran's relentless pursuit of regional hegemony, a policy institutionalized since the 1979 Islamic Revolution. This ambition is not merely ideological, it is a core tenet of its national security strategy. Iran has masterfully cultivated a network of proxy forces and allied militias across the region, known as the Axis of Resistance. This transnational network serves as Iran's strategic depth, allowing it to project power, challenge its adversaries, and wage asymmetric warfare without engaging in direct state-on-state combat. This axis is comprised of several formidable entities. In Lebanon, Hezbollah stands as its most successful creation, a powerful quasi-state actor with a vast arsenal of rockets and missiles aimed directly at Israel's northern border. In Yemen, the Houthi movement has destabilized Saudi Arabia and now poses a significant threat to global maritime trade through the vital Bab el-Mandeb Strait. In Iraq and Syria, a constellation of Shia militias, often operating under the umbrella of the Popular Mobilization Forces, serve to attack U.S. bases and secure a land corridor stretching from Tehran to the Mediterranean. In Palestine, groups like Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad receive funding, training, and weaponry from Iran to perpetuate the conflict with Israel. This strategy allows Iran to bleed its more powerful adversaries, the U.S. and Israel, through 1,000 cuts, maintaining constant pressure while maintaining a degree of plausible deniability. This external assertiveness is intrinsically linked to the third pillar, Iran's internal instability. The clerical regime in Tehran faces a profound crisis of legitimacy. Decades of crippling economic sanctions, compounded by systemic mismanagement and corruption, have decimated the Iranian economy, leading to hyperinflation and widespread hardship. This economic malaise is coupled with deep social discontent, particularly among the youth and women who chafe under the strict social mores and lack of personal freedoms imposed by the theocracy. This internal pressure cooker has periodically erupted into mass protests, most notably the Woman Life Freedom movement in 2022, which shook the foundations of the regime. In this context, the hardline factions within the government, particularly the powerful Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps (IRGC), often see aggressive foreign policy as a dual-purpose tool. It serves to rally nationalist sentiment against a common external enemy, distracting from domestic failures, while also reinforcing the IRGC's own power and prestige as the defenders of the revolution. This dynamic creates a dangerous feedback loop, where internal weakness can paradoxically lead to greater external aggression. Understanding the motivations of the key state actors is crucial to mapping this conflict. For Iran, the ultimate goal is regime survival. The nuclear program and the proxy network are viewed as essential deterrents against a US or Israeli attack, and as leverage to force concessions from the international community. The IRGC, an ideologically driven parallel military with vast economic and political influence, is the primary engine of this hardline posture.